A cold wind howled across the icy ruins of what was once Earth's southernmost base. Antarctica had gone quiet long ago. Now it was just white silence and old bones until something moved. A shadow stood alone on a broken tower. His clothes were torn, frost clung to his beard, and a small fire burned beside him, weak but alive. That flame, tiny as it was, could be seen from orbit. Darnexian scouts noticed it first. "There is movement," one said, voice hissing through its translator. "Impossible," replied another. "Earth is broken, burned, beaten." But the satellite footage told a different story. One human, one fire, and one flag still flying red, white, and blue, waving through the storm dot. The warlords of the Darnexian high seat gathered quickly. Their species had ruled the galaxy for 600 years through fear, control, and extermination. No one stood against them. No one dared dot except Earth. They had broken planets with ease. But Earth had resisted longer than any other world. Too long. The galaxy laughed when humanity refused to surrender. And then the laughing stopped. The Darnexians came with ships the size of cities. They bombarded the moon, destroyed Earth's orbital rings, poisoned Mars and cracked Europa. Still, humans didn't bow. They simply vanished into silence. Now, years later, there was a fire again, and an old man warming his hands beside it. Darnexian warlord Carvok leaned forward, staring at the screen. "I want that flame extinguished." A command went out. 3 dropships descended through Earth's atmosphere, cutting through snow and lightning. Their mission: capture or kill the man by the fire. No survivors, no messages. Erase all. Signs of rebellion. But when the soldiers landed, they didn't find weakness. They found a message written in ash on the snow. "Welcome back." The troops spread out, weapons drawn. Buildings were hollowed, frozen, buried. And yet, it felt like something was watching them. They moved deeper into the ruins until the fire appeared again, still burning. And the man? Still standing. He was old, eyes like stone. His voice rasped in the cold air. "Thought you finished us off, didn't you?" The Darnexian captain stepped forward. "Identify yourself." The man smiled. "I'm the fire you forgot to stamp out." Before they could react, the snow exploded beneath their feet. Hidden charges, pressure mines, old Earth tech the Darnexians never understood. Fire rose into the sky, and within seconds, the silence returned. The dropships were gone, the soldiers vaporized. And the old man? Nowhere to be seen. In orbit, alarm screamed aboard the Darnexian command vessel. The general stared at the incoming footage. His eyes widened not at the destruction, but at a symbol carved into the ground where the explosion happened. A symbol not seen in years. A black triangle inside a red circle. "Black signal. Impossible," he whispered. "We purged them all." Black signal was a secret division of Earth's defense. They operated off-grid even before the war began. No names, no countries, just shadows and vengeance. The Darnexians thought they had eliminated them in the Arctic massacre. They were wrong. Elsewhere, across old Earth ruins, signals began to blink again. In the Amazon vault, in the Sahara domes, deep inside Mount Erebus. Sub-Zero servers hummed. To life, messages pulsed underground. Signal recovered. Fire still burning. Phase 1 initiated. Far away on the Moon Titan, a small outpost suddenly received a transmission, a voice coded in static. "They're back. Earth still fights." Colonies that had gone dark started to stir. Miners on Pluto, engineers on Ceres, and hidden rebels. On Enceladus all looked toward Earth. For the first time in years, hope returned. Back on the Darnexian warship, panic set in. What is Phase 1? One commander asked. The answer came not in words, but in action. Earth's last known stealth cruiser, the Wraith of Dawn, suddenly decloaked near Saturn. No warning, no signal. Just cold engines and a course headed straight toward the Darnexian. Fleet. It did not respond to hails. It did not slow down. The warlords hesitated. This was a ghost ship. Thought destroyed. Its systems were centuries old, and yet something felt wrong. Destroy it, the general ordered. Weapons locked on. Missiles fired, but the Wraith of Dawn vanished mid-flight. Not exploded. Not hit. Gone. Inside the ship, cloaked in quantum slipspace, two humans sat in silence. Commander Ilara Gray checked the console. Jump successful. We are inside their sensor shadow. Beside her, Captain Malik Wren nodded. Then it begins. He activated a beacon, a single pulse. It echoed across hidden networks, still alive across Earth's scattered defense grid. The beacon's name, the fire that never died. Within hours, dozens of ancient satellites hidden in asteroid belts woke up. Code from old Earth wars rebooted. Not something more primal. Not machines for peace, but for memory. And revenge. Each satellite carried a name. Each one had once fallen silent. Now they whispered across space. Black signal lives. Earth has not bowed. We rise. The Darnexians held the largest fleet in the galaxy. But for the first time, they felt something strange. Not fear, but doubt. How many humans were still alive? How long had Earth been preparing this? And what else had they hidden? In the capital world of Tharzol, news spread fast. Rebellions reignited on fringe planets. Old allies of Earth, resurfaced species, once too afraid to speak, now sharing human tactics, old weapons, and encrypted data caches left by human spies. A storm was coming, and in the center of it stood a flame small, flickering, stubborn. That flame had a name, Earth, and it had one message for the galaxy. We never bowed. We never broke. We only burned and waited. That night, deep beneath Antarctica, a hidden chamber opened for the first time in 20 years. Inside, hundreds of cryopods began to thaw. Elite soldiers, scientists, strategists, humanity's last. Shield, and its sharpest blade. As frost melted off the visor of the lead pod, a pair of eyes opened, calm, focused, and burning with fire. A voice echoed in the chamber. Welcome back, Commander. Earth is under threat. And the fire never died. The Darnexian High Council sat in silence. 12 warlords. 12 voices. None spoke. A black cube hovered in the center of their war room, spinning slowly. It was a data pod intercepted from deep space, near Earth's old orbital ruins. It was human, unlabeled, unregistered, and it carried no signal ID. When they opened it, the lights in the room flickered. The temperature dropped. One warlord hissed. Another growled low in his throat. The message was not long, but it was dangerous. The voice in the recording spoke slowly, calm, but with something beneath it, like thunder hiding under silk. If you are hearing this, the human voice said, you came back to finish what you started. A long pause. Just know, we were never done. The audio ended, then silence. Not from the pod, but from the council itself. The youngest among them, Warlord Varin, looked confused. Why would they send such a short message? No coordinates. No threats, no demands. Another replied, because it wasn't meant for. U.S., the oldest High Warlord Trenix, finally spoke. His voice was slow and cracked like ancient bone. This is not a message to warn. This is a message to wake. That word echoed through the chamber. Wake. Aboard the hidden Earthship. Wraith of Dawn, Captain Malik Wren leaned over a dusty console. His fingers danced across the keys, typing ancient code. Beside him, Commander Alara Gray whispered softly. They intercepted the pod. Malik nodded. Good. Let them hear it. Let them wonder. Let them guess. The ship was still hidden, orbiting. Titan's shadow, invisible to Darnexian scans. Old Earth tech wasn't flashy, but it was unpredictable. And that was more dangerous than power dot below the ship's deck. Deep in storage chambers, dozens of containers hummed softly. Each held memory drives logs of every Darnexian. Crime across 100 colonies. Recorded, encrypted, buried. The drives had a name. Whispers of fire. Far across the galaxy. A secret rebel transmission reached a hidden world, the underground. Colony of Varelia Prime. There, in the cold dark, a child played back the human message on a broken speaker. She didn't understand it, but her father did. He was once a pilot in Earth's old space navy. He had buried his uniform when the Darnexians came. Now, hearing that voice, he dug it out again. He placed the patch 3 stars and a phoenix on his chest, and he began calling others. Back in the Darnexian Empire, panic began to spread, not on the surface, but deep in their networks. Their data cores began picking up strange anomalies. Ghost signals. Echoes of Earth languages long considered extinct. Latin, Old English, Russian, even binary Morse. One core went dark, then another, then 5 more. Inside their systems, hidden subroutines written by human code began activating. Silent. Patient. The programs carried one command. Don't answer them. Awaken us instead. The Darnexians launched a digital lockdown. They shut down communication relays, blacked out their own war signals, and restricted all outgoing data from the capital. But it was too late. Earth's message wasn't a warning. It was a key to reactivate old allies, and a key to unleash Earth's memory. The Darnexians remembered Earth as brutal, violent, stubborn, but they had never truly understood humanity's real weapon, memory. Humans recorded everything. Not just battles, but suffering, not just pain, but resistance. Now, those memories were spreading through music, data packets, encrypted art, even scent triggers hidden in dust bombs. Entire cultures long erased began remembering Earth's stand. One Darnexian general opened an old vault in a museum. Inside, a recording played by itself. A child's voice whispered, "You burned our skies. You drowned our homes. You shattered our moon. And still, we remember your name." The general trembled. "What is this?" His aide answered, "It's not a threat. It's a promise." On Jupiter's old mining station, long abandoned, 3 figures in black armor stepped out of cryosleep. They had been offline for 21 years. Their implants rebooted. Their weapons clicked. A message blinked on their HUDs. "Your time has come. The galaxy forgot who we are. Show them again." They were part of Project Daggerlight Earth's last covert squad of memory-bound soldiers, born to die, trained to haunt. Their orders had been sealed since the burning of Europa. Now they were awake. Meanwhile, in the hidden Earth base beneath Antarctica, Commander Suri Hao stood before a screen. Her breath fogged the glass. "Any Darnexian response?" she asked. Her technician shook his head. "Only fear, internal lockdowns, blocked systems, and silent fleets." Suri nodded. "Good. Then they don't know what's coming. Behind." Her holograms lit up. Dozens of sleeping agents across the galaxy began to move. Each one had waited. Years. Some in cages. Some in civilian clothes. Some undercover as loyal subjects. Now they whispered to themselves. One word. Now. The Darnexian Emperor finally ordered a full recall. Every ship. Every commander. Returned to the core worlds. Their strategy was simple. Cut Earth off before the fire spreads. But Earth was already 10 steps ahead, because the message wasn't just heard by humans. It was heard by every species. The Darnexians ever hurt. Entire planets once conquered by fear, now remembered Earth's. Fire. And how it never died. Back on the Wraith of Dawn, Malik stood in front of an old flag, patched and burned. Elara looked at him. We've only sent the first part. Malik smiled darkly. Then it's time for the second. He inserted another black cube into the signal array. This one didn't have words, just images. Scenes of Earth's last stand. Mother shielding her son beneath a burning bridge. A human pilot flying straight into a Darnexian dreadnought. A boy in a bunker, drawing stars on the wall, whispering, "We will rise again." The message broadcast again. No encryption. Open channel. Every Darnexian station received it. Every ally. Every rebel. No one could look away, not because it was violent, but because it was human. It was hope carved into scars. And when the video ended, 3 words appeared on the screen. We. Remember. Everything. The galaxy changed that night. No gun fired. No. Ship exploded. But the war shifted. Because now, the Darnexians weren't just facing weapons. They were facing memory. And humanity had never forgotten. Not the pain, not the fire, and definitely not the ones who made them suffer. Above Earth, the sky burned again. This time, it wasn't fire. It was metal. Darnexian warships appeared in orbit like shadows swallowing light. Their formation was tight, hungry, prepared. They'd lost patience. Earth had survived too long. And now, it would end. The target wasn't a military base. It was a city. New Kyoto, one of Earth's last surviving population centers. It had no army, no artillery, no anti-air. Just people. And the Darnexians believed that meant weakness. They were wrong. Commander Verrett stood on the bridge of the Darnexian cruiser Bloodstorm. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence as he studied the data. No defense grid. One officer said, "No heat signatures. Only civilian energy flow." Verrett smiled. "Then we begin." The order was simple. Land 3 dropships, surround the city, and issue surrender. If they resisted, erase it. But as the ships broke through the clouds, something strange happened. The city lights turned off. One block after another. All power gone. EMP? One Darnexian asked. "No," the pilot answered. "Something else." "It's coordinated." The ships continued, now flying low above dark towers. The streets were empty. No movement. No resistance. No chaos. Just calm. That made them nervous. They landed near the city center, where a monument once stood. The dropships opened. Soldiers in black armor stepped out. Still. No sound. No humans. But then they heard music. Old. Strange. Human. A soft piano. It echoed through the air. From nowhere and everywhere. Then came the voice. "You came again," it said calmly. Verrett stepped forward. "Show yourself." The voice replied, "We've shown enough. Now it's your turn to see." The sky above them shimmered. Dozens of mirrors, large silver plates, began to unfold from the rooftops. They reflected sunlight in blinding waves. Even worse, they reflected Darnexian thermal scans back at them. Their sensors failed. Their suits overheated. Their targeting system scrambled. "What is this?" An officer shouted. And the fog came. Not natural fog. Human-engineered magnetic mist, thick with microfilaments that interfered with everything: vision, hearing, radar. The Darnexians panicked. Shots fired, but they couldn't see who or what they were shooting at. From below the streets, humans emerged, quietly, quickly, without mercy. Not soldiers in uniforms, but engineers, scientists, students. Elders. Each carried strange weapons, sonic displacers, pulse darts, light refractors. This wasn't war the Darnexians understood. It was Earth's kind of war. Smart, silent, merciless. Verret roared orders, trying to regroup. Then a wall exploded behind him. From the smoke, a human walked out. Alone, wearing nothing but a cloak and a breathing mask. No weapon in his hands. You shouldn't have come here, the man said. Who are you? Verret growled. Man didn't answer. He raised a device in his hand, a small black sphere. Verret's guards opened fire. The bullets didn't hit. They stopped mid-air. Frozen. The sphere pulsed once. The sound was soft, like a heartbeat, and then everything around it, machines, lights, even gravity itself twisted. The Darnexians were lifted off their feet. Their weapons tore apart in midair. Their sensors burst. They fell hard, confused and gasping. A man stepped forward. We didn't survive the galaxy's fear to die in silence. We're still here, and we are done hiding. Elsewhere in the city, children held signs in front of Darnexian drones. The signs read, "We do not kneel. You taught us pain. We made it into armor. Fear dies here." The drones tried to scan them, but the children were shielded. They weren't just civilians. They were bait. The drones exploded one by one as trap code pulsed through their circuits. Atop a tall building, an old woman watched it all unfold. Beside her stood a device, made from scrap metal and fusion shards. She had built it years ago, just in case. She pressed a button. Above the city, a burst of color bloomed, a massive energy dome. Not a shield. A broadcast. All across the galaxy. The scene streamed live. New Kyoto, under attack, and refusing to fall. Back on the Darnexian homeworld, millions watched the footage in silence. It wasn't victory. It was a reminder that even without fleets, without armies, Earth could still fight, and worse, inspire. Commander Verret crawled to his feet, bleeding. The man in the cloak stood over him. "You don't understand," Verret hissed. "We rule the galaxy." The man knelt beside him. "No," he whispered. "You just scared it long enough to forget who it belonged to." And then he vanished into the mist. The Darnexian fleet above New Kyoto received the order to withdraw. Not from Earth. Command from their own officers. Morale shattered. Troops defeated. Reputation ruined. They hadn't destroyed the city. The city had destroyed them. In space, aboard the Wraith of Dawn, Malik Ren watched the footage. He smiled. "You see that?" he said to Elara. She nodded. "They thought New Kyoto would fall." Malik replied, "They don't understand yet." "Understand? What?" she asked. He looked out the window at Earth. That the fire never died. Inside a cold metal room, deep in the Darnexian war vessel Terrorfang, a man sat chained to a chair. His name was Lieutenant Jace Vorn, Earthborn, combat pilot, captured during a blackout operation near the Saturn belt. Now surrounded by tall, scaled aliens who smelled like acid and metal, he smiled. He had no weapons, no helmet, no way out, and still he smiled. Warlord Kryzen stood behind a glass wall, watching the prisoner closely. Why does he smile? He hissed. The lead interrogator stepped forward. "We've broken bigger creatures. This one will crack." Kryzen narrowed his eyes. "He is human. He will not crack. He will burn." They activated the neural drill. The room darkened. Jace's eyes rolled back as the machine connected to his skull. Memories began to stream out: his family, Earth, combat, training, explosions. Then something changed. The memories grew darker. Wars, screaming cities, children learning to fire rifles at 12. Bonds strapped to drones. Famine, firestorms, and endless survival. The Darnexians paused. This wasn't alien war. That this was Earth's history. That it was brutal. It was wild. And it was normal to him. One soldier whispered, "These are things we never imagined." Another asked, how did his species survive this? Jace's breathing slowed. His voice broke the silence. "You like what you see?" he asked, weak but still smirking. "You lived through this?" Kryzen barked. Jace coughed once. "We built schools in it." The warlord slammed his fist against the wall. "Your world is chaos." Jace looked straight at him. "It made us ready." They increased the neural feed. Pain flooded into Jace's mind, electrical shocks, fear pulses, memory distortion. Any other species would have collapsed or begged. JACE. Started laughing. It started small. Then louder, then echoing. The laugh was dry, bitter, and mocking. "You don't get it, do you?" he said between gasps. "You think this is torture?" He looked straight into the camera, his eyes wild with fire. "This is Tuesday on Earth." Kryzen froze. The room fell silent. The Darnexians had seen battle-hardened species, but humans? They trained in apocalypse. They argued during invasions. They sang while cities burned. Now the prisoner, Beaten and bleeding, leaned forward and whispered, something they didn't expect. "You think you've captured me." He grinned wider. "But I'm the one watching you." Suddenly, the lights in the chamber flickered. Static filled the comms. The neural drill began glitching. Kryzen turned sharply. "What's happening?" The technician stammered. "The human. He had neural implants, hidden. He's reversing the link." Too late, the entire system shorted. The memories Jace had seen began corrupting the Darnexian data vaults. Files collapsed. AI cores crashed. He wasn't just resisting. He was infecting. Across the ship, warning lights blinked. Engines stuttered. Cameras failed. Jace stood now, free of his chains. How? A guard shouted. He held up his hands. Tiny implants shimmered. At his fingertips. "You really thought Earth would send a normal pilot to your front door?" He lunged. Not with brute strength, with perfect precision. 2 guards down, 1 blast stolen. Alarms screamed. He moved like smoke through metal corridors, planting beacons, locking doors, stealing codes, each step calculated, each move expected. A voice rang out across the ship's intercom. "This is Lieutenant Thorne. Thanks for the hospitality." The Darnexians scrambled. "Find him." But Jace was already gone, slipping into a cargo drop bay. He looked up at the escape pod. Just one. Just enough. He activated the launch. But before the doors closed, he looked back and said one final thing. "You're not ready for what's coming." And you never were. The pod launched. And 30 seconds later, the Terrorfang lost control. It drifted into a gravitational storm near Neptune, its systems fried, its crew panicking. Back aboard the Wraith of Dawn, Captain Malik Wren watched. The blinking beacon appear on his screen. Elara turned toward him. "That's Jace?" Malik smiled. "He made it." "And the warship?" she asked. He leaned back. He made sure it forgot what it was. Jace's escape wasn't just victory. It was a message. Earth wasn't just fighting. It was learning how to win without fear. And through every corner of the galaxy, the word spread. A human was captured. He laughed. And the ship that held him never returned. The ship moved through the dark silence of space like a ghost. Its hull was scarred, its signal masked, but its heart still burned. Inside, Captain Lyra stood alone at the viewport, staring at the stars ahead. She had seen too much loss, betrayal in a galaxy ruled by fear. But this mission, This was different. They had intercepted an ancient transmission. Not a call for help, not a threat, but an order, a command issued from a hidden throne world deep in the veiled quadrant. The voice was cold, mechanical, and unyielding. Begin Phase 3. Humanity must never rise again. Lyra didn't flinch. She had heard worse. But what chilled her was the weight behind those words. The alien empire known as the Corthan Dominion. Rulers of 1,000 systems, executioners of rebellion, had made it clear. Earth was never supposed to recover. They had broken human colonies, enslaved fleets, and wiped out cities under false peace treaties. But Earth hadn't bowed, and now they were preparing the final blow. The crew of the Resolute, a ragtag group of survivors, defectors, and oathbreakers, was heading straight toward the Empire's most secure facility, Vault 91, buried in an asteroid field. Guarded by quantum mines and gravitational traps, Vault 91 was not just a prison. It was where they kept the forbidden things, the tech, the people, the secrets too dangerous for even the Dominion to destroy. And buried inside it was a prisoner named Commander Ron, Earth's last strategist. Ron had disappeared during the first planetary bombings, assumed dead by most. But whispers had reached the underworld. He wasn't dead. He was locked up, broken? Maybe, but a live dot if he could be freed. The old strategies could return. The ones that made Earth impossible to conquer. The ones that made human minds more dangerous. Then their weapons. Lyra turned from the stars. All hands, she said into the comms. Prepare for a breach. No one sits this one out. Vault 91 was death. That was the only way to describe it. As Resolute dropped into the asteroid belt, silent and cold, everyone aboard knew there was no turning back. Juno, the AI engineer, whispered, "This place shouldn't exist." "Neither should we," Lyra replied. The ship used old Earth cloaking. Tech analog pulses, outdated in most battles, but ironically perfect for slipping through systems too modern to detect them. Dominion tech had evolved so far, it had forgotten how to detect the primitive. They docked onto the black hull of Vault 91 using magnet anchors. No welcome lights. No alarms. It was as if the prison didn't even consider intrusion a possibility. Was their first mistake. Lyra and her boarding team, 7 hardened fighters, cut through the outer layer. As the seal broke, stale air hissed out like a breath held too long. Inside, metal corridors stretched endlessly, bathed in red emergency lights. There were no guards in sight. It was too quiet. "Split and scan," Lyra ordered. "If it moves, stun it. If it warns, silence it. We find Ron. We bring him home." The deeper they went, the stranger things became. Cells lined the walls, not for prisoners, but for machines. Alien constructs, human prototypes, organic hybrids. Things Earth had developed before the fall. Some were still breathing. Others hummed silently, awake but not alive. Vault 91 was not just a prison. It was a laboratory. And humanity's nightmares were. Buried here. Then they found the room. Door sealed with 7 biolocks. All inactive. Juno stepped forward, hands shaking. This room was built by human hands. The others stared. Why would humans build part of a Dominion prison? Answer: they didn't. This was stolen tech. Vault-91 had been using humanity's own creations to hold their greatest minds. Inside, they found Ron. He sat chained to the floor, not by metal, but by neural bonds, cords of light running into his brain, designed to steal thoughts as they formed. He looked up slowly. "You're late," he whispered, and then collapsed. Lyra's heart stopped for a second. He was still alive. They carried him out, but the alarms finally screamed. A voice thundered across the vault. "Breach detected. Human retrieval identified. terminate all. The vault shook. Defense drones swarmed from hidden walls. The team fought through them, step by step, corridor by corridor. Bullets, energy blasts, hand to hand. The battle was brutal. Several fell. But the others kept going. And then came the final trap dot as they reached the hangar. The exit sealed shut. A massive Dominion Warden bot descended from above, towering, armored, glowing with power. Human resistance is obsolete. It growled. But Lyra didn't blink. She held up the detonator. Not resistance, she said. Retribution. The charges they'd planted throughout Vault 91, quietly, methodically, exploded. Walls cracked. Supports broke. Gravity failed. The Resolute pulled away just as the entire prison buckled in on itself, imploding into the asteroid it sat on. They'd lost lives. But they had won something bigger. They had broken the unbreakable. And Commander ran. He opened his eyes in the medbay and said, "Now we begin." From that day on, the Dominion could no longer hide behind their prisons and their chains, because humanity had proven something. You can silence a voice, but not the fire behind it. And that fire had just been set free. The stars watched in silence. For the first time in centuries, Earth had gone quiet. No warship launched. No message responded. No broadcast, not even a warning flare. Across the galaxy, the dominant species, the dreaded Vorok Dominion, watched. Earth's stillness with suspicion. Silence wasn't Earth's way. After all, they had fought back in every war, every invasion. Humanity had become famous for one thing, never giving up. But now, it was like they vanished. Vorok Admiral Sithrin stood aboard his throne ship Tal Roxstan, orbiting near Jupiter's moons. He was cautious, not afraid, but he could sense something unnatural. Earth wasn't defeated. It wasn't destroyed. It wasn't just holding its breath. His communications officer, a slender reptilian named Draxel, looked up. "Admiral? Our probes show no activity from Earth. Cities are powered down. No satellites transmitting. Even their defense grid is cold." "Still no trace of evacuation?" Sithrin asked. "None, sir." Sithrin narrowed his eyes. "That's impossible. 20 standard cycles ago, Earth had resisted the Vorok assault. Despite losing fleets, ground forces, even colonies, humans refused to kneel. But in the last 3 weeks, they had stopped everything. Even their Titan-class warship Resolute Flame had vanished from all known sectors. Some believed Earth had finally given up. Sithrin didn't. He paced toward the forward viewport, staring at the pale blue planet below. No, they're hiding something, or planning something. Far below, in the forests of the Appalachian Range, underground bunkers thrummed with life. Not civilian life. Not even Earth's old military. This was something new. Project REVENINT. Signal. No outside broadcast. Every soldier inside operated with implanted dampeners. The facility was blacked out from every known galactic sensor. Inside one of the main domes, Commander Elena Kor walked through lines of silent human soldiers. Their eyes were focused, their muscles tense. They had trained for months in total. Secrecy, preparing for something Earth had never attempted before. Counter-silence warfare. "You know your orders," she told them. "You are ghosts now. You are wrath waiting to rise. When the signal comes, no mercy." Above ground, the Vorok believed Earth's silence meant surrender. Below ground, Earth was preparing a single coordinated strike that would knock out 10 Vorok command stations in under 5 minutes. Across the solar system, Vorok fleets relaxed. Sithrin issued relaxed commands to his officers. "They're broken," he declared. "Humanity has bowed." In a Vorok High Council broadcast viewed across the Empire, the dominator of sectors proclaimed victory. "Earth has submitted. Their silence is proof of their shame. Let it be recorded humanity has fallen. But on Earth, deep in a bunker beneath the Atlantic seabed, a young hacker named Rajiv stared at a dark console. Behind him, General Ortega waited. "Is the worm ready?" the general asked. Rajiv nodded. "Yes, sir. Once I activate it, Vorak satellites will show Earth in full blackout for 2 more weeks. But the real system will already be moving. They won't see us coming." General Ortega smiled grimly. "And begin. Let them believe we're gone." Rajiv pressed a button. Somewhere beyond Mars, an old asteroid, a disguised human stealth ship began to split open. From within it, a massive railgun emerged, locked onto a Vorak command cruiser. Within 8.2 seconds, the cruiser ceased to exist, yet no one knew where the shot came from. No heat trail, no detectable warp signature, just pure silence. The Vorak command responded by scrambling defense drones. None of them returned. Admiral Cithrin's screens blinked red. "Who fired that? Trace it." "We don't know," Draxel shouted. "It wasn't from Earth. At least not from the surface. It could be anywhere." A second Vorak station, this time orbiting Ganymede, went dark. No explosions, no survivors, just silence. And then a message dot, just one line. "You wanted Earth quiet. Now listen carefully." Cithrin's blood ran. Cold dot, the message repeated dot, and then every Vorak ship began receiving coordinates. Human. Stealth fleets had spread across the solar system. Earth hadn't gone silent. Earth had gone dark too. Let the monsters come closer. Now they were inside Earth's trap. From one of the bunkers, Commander Elena watched as warheads armed themselves in launch silos across Earth, the Moon, and Titan. Let's give them a roar they'll never forget. Silent Planet was about to explode into the loudest counterattack the galaxy had ever seen. And the Vorak? They finally realized. Silence wasn't safety dot. It was the last breath before the storm. The broadcast was never meant to reach Earth. A garbled signal, layered in encrypted fragments and buried beneath static, had slipped through the defensive net of the Galactic Dominion. The alien empires had grown too arrogant. For centuries, they feared nothing, not even the remnants of humanity, scattered and crushed across the stars. But what they didn't know was this. Some humans never surrendered. Some humans never spoke. Some rose in silence. Beneath the crust of a shattered moon, orbiting Varnax 3, the Dominion's slave records had one classification. Silence, no language. No resistance, no sound. They were mute, beaten, forgotten. But they were human, and humans never stayed broken for long. Vekerthol, a high-ranking enforcer of the Dominion, oversaw Moon Prison 7 for over 60 cycles. The facility processed thousands of political prisoners and genetic undesirables. But the silence, they were different. They never looked up, never screamed, never begged. Emotionless livestock, the guards called them. But Vekerthol had always felt something wrong, deeply wrong, about the way the silence watched without watching. They moved like shadows, barely audible, yet perfectly synchronized. Something primal stirred in him whenever they passed by fear dot. He dismissed it. Weakness dot until tonight. The alarms didn't blare. There were no explosions. No screams. Just silence. Then darkness. A full sector of the prison lost power. Surveillance feeds went black. The guards sent to check the corridors never returned. One by one, checkpoints went quiet. The control tower recorded a final visual. A figure, wrapped in scorched prisoner garb, stepping out of a steam vent tunnel. His eyes silver and glassy flashed toward the lens. He didn't blink dot, then there. Screen cracked. The silence had waited decades. They communicated without words, trained in complete secrecy under the noses of their Dominion captors. Old Earth signals had reached them years ago, smuggled through coded frequencies. Among them was a message. They thought we were gone. But fire never truly dies. Wait, rise, ignite. And now they had. Captain May Tan watched the moon's surface from the stealth cruiser Revenant. She was the first outsider to pick up the automated signal. A binary pattern repeating every 6 seconds. When decoded, it revealed only one sentence. We are still human. Her breath caught in her throat. The screen zoomed into the moon's crust. Hidden under blackened layers of ash and debris, thousands of glowing lights formed a single shape, the Earth flag. Somehow, against all odds, the prisoners had built it from scrap, wiring, bones, and melted alloy. And it pulsed. It glowed. We're going down, May whispered. Suit up. Full extraction team. The crew stared. One of them, a young soldier named Jules gulped. Commander, you think they're alive? They're not just alive, May said coldly. They're ready. Inside the moon facility, Vickerthal crawled through shattered bulkheads. His armor torn, face bleeding. His elite guards all dead. The silence had moved like phantom silent, coordinated, merciless. And they spoke now, not with words, not with actions. One approached, his face marked by fire scars, his body wrapped in. Chains repurposed into armor. Vickerthal raised a plasma knife. It was slapped aside like paper. Mercy, the alien begged. The silent only stared and whispered for the first and final time. No. When May's team reached the core, they didn't find broken prisoners. They found warriors rebuilt, reborn. They had salvaged alien tech, grafted it into their bodies, and modified it with crude but terrifying efficiency. One of them, a woman with one cybernetic arm and a necklace made of Dominion guard badges, stepped forward. We waited. She said, "Now we strike. Where do you want to go?" May asked. She pointed upward, through the layers of rock and smoke. Earth. But Earth's gone, Jules muttered. No, the woman said. Earth isn't a place. It's a people. And those people were ready to burn the stars. From the shadows of the prison moon, the Dominion saw their nightmare begin. A new faction, one they never registered, had emerged, silent, unseen. Human. And as the first wave of rebel ships powered up in low-orbit engines, blazing red-hot, a single phrase echoed across Dominion channels, hacked into every military frequency. We were quiet because we were watching. Now you'll hear us scream. The alien fleet hung above Earth like a shadow ready to swallow the light. Billions across the galaxy watched the live feeds, expecting to witness humanity's final fall. Earth was surrounded. The Syndicate had sent every warship they had. Dreadnoughts, with hulls like mountains. Ion cannons the size of skyscrapers. Entire moons converted into mobile command stations. They expected silence from Earth. They expected fear. But Earth did not tremble. Deep beneath the mountains of the old American Rockies, a voice echoed through hidden bunkers, old, cold, and powerful. Activate Project Thor. The command shot through encrypted tunnels and cables, buried beneath centuries of secrecy. All over the world, ancient installations, long thought abandoned, powered up, hidden under Antarctica's ice sheet. Giant hangar doors began to open, hissing steam into the frigid air. From within the depths of the ice, massive launch silos, older than any alien civilization, came alive. Inside them rested the last defense Earth had never used. Titan lances. They weren't missiles. They were kinetic rods, solid tungsten fired from orbit, using Earth's own magnetic poles to guide them. No energy, no warning. Just raw mass and velocity. The Syndicate sensors never saw them coming. From every continent, from every orbit, the sky screamed. One by one, the alien command ships lit up in flames. Moons split open like rotten fruit. Entire squadrons vanished in the blink of an eye. The Syndicate's proudest weapons didn't even get a chance to fire. Above the burning remains, Earth's final warship rose into view, the Gauntlet of Terra. It had been hidden for decades, built in secret in Earth's shadow zone. No energy signatures, no signals, nothing to betray its existence. It was the size of a city, with armor grown from carbon nanocrystals, its hull painted in deep matte. Black. But the thing that froze the galaxy wasn't its size, it was the roar. Before it fired, the ship released a pulse and electromagnetic scream that shattered enemy comms and blinded sensors. Then, from its central cannon, it fired a beam of compressed particle plasma, so dense it folded space itself for a brief moment. It wasn't just a weapon. It was a message. Earth fights back. And Earth remembers. On Syndicate homeworlds, riots broke. Out. On Allied planets, citizens demanded peace with humanity. The illusion of power the Syndicate had built for centuries collapsed in 1 hour. In orbit. The survivors of the Syndicate fleet tried to retreat. They didn't make it. From every corner of Earth's defense net, swarms of drones, small, fast, silent, erupted. Each was armed with gravitic warheads. The kind that didn't just destroy ships, they bent time around their targets, crushing them in seconds from every direction. The last remaining alien admiral, aboard the Syndicate flagship Vackler, finally sent the desperate signal. We surrender. We request peace. Please, stop. But Earth didn't respond. Instead, the Gauntlet of Terra locked on and fired once more. The flagship shattered. And with that shot, the galaxy learned something ancient and terrifying. Humanity doesn't. Oh, humanity waits. It endures, it hides, it bleeds. And then it strikes. Not with warning. Not with mercy. But with the fire that never died. And from that day forward, every species, every ruler, every warlord in the galaxy remembered the scream of Earth's vengeance, because when Earth finally roared back, no one could silence it again. For centuries, the Zarkith Empire had ruled the stars through silence and fear. Their enemies vanished, their critics were erased, and the planets under their control knew only obedience. Resistance was a concept spoken of in whispers. And Earth? Earth had been silent the longest too long. But silence does not mean surrender. The edge of Sector Theta 9, a Zarkith dread cruiser named Void Reaper drifted near a human outpost, once believed abandoned. The commander, Varnick Cray, had already uploaded the demolition order to his ship's AI. He expected nothing, no warning, no resistance. Just another forgotten human shell, erased from the map. Then, Earth answered, not with words, not with pleas, but with a sound. A single roar, low at first, then rising like thunder, shaking every sensor aboard the Void Reaper. It wasn't from any weapon. It wasn't from any known frequency. It was Earth's response, laced in raw, ancient fury, a broadcast of a launch. But not just any launch. A Titan-class mobile fortress, Sovereign Wrath. The sound came before the ship was even in sight. The crew of the Zarkith dread cruiser stared in disbelief as gravity sensors overloaded and the black between stars began to ripple. Then the clouds of space were torn open, and the Sovereign Wrath emerged. Its size broke all classification. Its energy signature warped nearby comms. Its surface shimmered with old scars, proof of battles won and enemies crushed. Yet it did not fire first. The humans aboard gave the Zarkith one chance. A single message. We heard you. Now it's your turn to listen. Cray hesitated, sweat dripping down his chitinous brow. He'd seen rebellions crushed with ease. He had seen the might of the Zarkith Armada. But nothing prepared him for what happened next. The Sovereign Wrath did not just attack. It unleashed. Kinetic rods the size of buildings rained down. Artificial black holes were deployed to consume Zarkith escape ships, before they even started engines. AI drones with names like Fury Actual and Wraith 5 darted through the darkness, slicing through hulls and hacking systems mid-battle. It was not war, it was punishment. And as the flames danced in orbit, as the sky cracked with the wrath of Earth, every listening post in the galaxy tuned in forced to hear Earth's message, over and over. You ruled with fear. We remember, and now we reply. The Zarketh tried to jam the signal. They failed. They tried to deploy reinforcements. They failed. They tried to retreat. They were too slow. And across a dozen worlds, enslaved races lifted their eyes skyward. For the first time in centuries, they didn't just see a human warship. They saw hope. The Galactic Council held an emergency session within hours. They had thought the humans too fragmented, too quiet. But now, the council chambers trembled with the fear they had once weaponized. Humanity hadn't just roared back. They had returned to finish what others started. And now, every empire, every armada, every hidden dictator in the stars had a decision to make. Bow. Or burn. Because Earth was awake. And Earth had finally answered. The galaxy had always whispered one name when speaking of power, the Varnock Dominion. For centuries, their reign was soaked in blood, silence, and fear. They ruled entire sectors without lifting a finger, because their reputation did the job. One planet resisted, and it had been turned into glass. One fleet disobeyed, and it vanished without trace. But that day, something changed. Not in the Varnock, but in the stars themselves. Because humanity no longer feared them. Admiral Kira Voss stood alone at the viewport of the Titan-class warship Resolute Dawn. Behind her, a dozen species watched in silence. All survivors, all beaten, all once broken by the Varnock. Now they stood united, not by diplomacy, but by something deeper, the memory of Earth's burning cities and the sound of screaming children echoing in space. Kira didn't blink. Status of the Varnock Prime defenses? Shields at 70%. Commander Bellin replied, "They've deployed everything, drones, command fleets, gravitational mines, and their morale?" There was silence, and a quiet voice from a captured Varnock defector. "Shaking, Admiral. They don't understand how you reached this far. No one ever has." Kira nodded. "That's the point." The Resolute Dawn activated its forward cannons, solar-piercing beams that could cut through moons. But Kira didn't fire. Not yet. Instead, she opened a channel to the entire Varnock Empire. Billions of screens flickered across the galaxy. Her face appeared, human, calm, focused. "You ruled with fear," she said. "Now feel it yourselves." In that moment, fleets across the galaxy rose. Human allies, once hunted, now armed, launched uprisings. Silent planets lit up with rebellion. On every world the Varnock had enslaved, explosions of resistance began. On Varnock Prime, the Emperor himself stood frozen. They were supposed to break," he whispered. "We crushed their Earth." A younger Varnock officer looked up, voice trembling. "They didn't break. They changed." Back on the Resolute Dawn, the order was finally given. Fire. A beam of white light, pure and silent, lanced forward. It tore through Varnock Prime's defensive grid like paper. Their capital fortress, the unbreakable throne of tyranny, cracked open like an egg. But the humans didn't annihilate the planet. That wasn't the mission. Instead, they deployed something far more dangerous. Transmissions, footage, recordings of every horror the Varnock had committed, now shown to the entire galaxy. Every species forced to kneel, every child enslaved, every betrayal, every genocide. Exposed, the galaxy trembled, not in fear of the Varnock, but in rage. Riots broke out on Varnock-controlled worlds. Ally races turned on their masters. Governors were overthrown. The empire collapsed not with a bang, but with billions of voices rising, and Earth stood still that night, watching from afar. The people who once feared extinction now saw hope. The ones who once buried their dead now planted flags of victory. Admiral Kira's message played again, broadcast on every free world. We never asked for war. We never wanted it. But you burned our skies, and you thought we would kneel. You thought fear would control us. She leaned forward. You forgot what fear becomes when it stops being yours. The screen went black. And in the silence that followed, the galaxy realized something chilling. Humanity wasn't just back. They were. Leading. And fear had changed sides.